Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Lex's World. How are you all doing? Hope you're all well. We're going to be doing a little bit of a review and a giveaway with this odd little stoner book in a few minutes. But first, I wanted to touch on a couple of reoccurring questions I get once in a while in the comments section around minor plant stress. Number one, how to point your oscillating fan at your cannabis plants exactly and prevent wind stress. And number two, touching your plants. How much touching is okay? Is it okay in general? Surprisingly common among newbie growers for a question. So first, people have noticed that I use my oscillating fans in my grow spaces both early on and 24/7. To move air around and prevent mold, I do it to provide the plants with fresh air, to thicken and strengthen the stems, and I also do it to prevent heat buildup around the canopy. The oscillating fan is a pretty basic piece of indoor equipment, but I also use my fan gently. What drives me crazy in indoor spaces is when people are pointing oscillating fans directly at their plants 24/7, causing wind stress. Wind stress is real for those who have doubts about it. It just doesn't express itself in very consistent ways. Some of the more prominent ways you'll spot wind stress is by unusual leaf curling in seedlings and downward tip curling in older plants, as you guys can see here. Overall, plants that experience excessive wind just grow slower than plants that do not. Also, heavy wind during flowering causes degradation of trichomes since it makes leaves rub together, crushing trichomes in between. My general advice is that direct oscillation should be intermittent, like wind is in nature. Generally, an oscillating fan shouldn't be pointed directly at plants at all unless it's at a distance, and there's also nothing wrong with using a wall in a small space to bounce air off and reduce its intensity, so just point your fan at the wall. Sometimes that works great. If you're oscillating the right way, your fan leaves should be just slightly bobbing in the wind. If your plants are shaking around, like down to the branches visibly moving, that's too much direct wind and you're doing more harm than good, unless it's very intermittent, like 2 hours on, 6 hours off. By the way, if you're trying to grow cannabis outdoors in a normally windy region, you do have to use some type of wind breaks. Walls, fencing, plastic tarps, whatever, just to protect your plants from the powerful wind gusts. As for the topic of touching your plants, don't worry about touching your plants. It's not a big deal. At the same time, don't touch them unnecessarily, which is especially true for seedlings in their first 10 days of life above ground. When you touch your plants with your hands, it's the lowest form of physical stress that plants can experience. But it is a form of stress, and it should be done on a need-to-be-done basis. That said, if you need to do it, don't worry about it at all. The only time I touch plants with my hands is for transplants and various forms of stress training, and I try to plan those out with all of my gear at my sides so that I minimize the amount of time that I take and I minimize the amount of time that I disturb the girls. So there you go, guys, a couple of minor stress questions answered. And for today's giveaway, I seem to be doing a lot of giveaways lately. This is called the Library of Tips. They're actually fancy looking books, or so they seem. Soon as these arrived in my mail, I knew I couldn't wait to show them off to you guys, since this is the perfect item for like the thinking stoner, which is kind of the brand of this show, or at least that's how I see the brand. So at a glance, these books look ordinary. They're just nice and fairly fancy hardcovers with minor references to cannabis, sometimes not so minor references. They'd look very nice up on a bookshelf, but open one up and you'll realize this is not a normal book. Every page is filled with perforated tips, as in rolling tips. There's 16 per page, and with 80 pages, that's 1,280 tips in every single one of these books. That'll last people a pretty long time. And in the back of the book, there's even a little sleeve for holding your rolling papers. I tried tearing off a couple tips and they rolled up nicely without any trouble, and I didn't realize this until I checked the instructions at the back of the book, but each page is also designed to be usable as a folding rolling base, so that's pretty handy. Now, I will link to these books in the video description below if you'd like to get one, but as it happens, the fine folks at Library of Tips were kind enough to send me 4 of these, which is a bit too much for me, so I'm going to give away 3 of them to 3 separate winners. Whichever platform you're watching this on, doesn't matter which one, just leave a comment under this video between February 9th and February 17th of 2019, and you're entered. Winner is going to have their comment replied to. All 3 winners will have their comment replied to. That's it. And no spamming the comments section under this video to make a million entries. If you want to make more than 1 entry, that's okay, but the rule is leave that entry comment on a different video other than this one and add the hashtag Library of Tips to your comments so that I can find your entry. And if you do that on other videos, I'll accept those entries as well. On that note, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to see me next week and hit that like button if you found this useful. We'll see you next time on Lex's World.